As we start moving into the age of fear, what teams should occupy your build priority and why? We're going to be checking that out in this video today. We're going to be looking at this from the free to play perspective. That is very, very important to keep in mind. We're talking primarily to free to play players. As we go to the game here, we see that the character that should be the most important to us right now is Silver Surfer Breaker. So him and the Mighty Storm, as they are specialty characters, we want to make sure that we put ourselves in the best position to acquire those characters. That's the lens that we're going to be looking through. And so we're trying to build the most efficient roster possible to do that. Silver Surfer Breaker is a plug and play character, and he is available for free, and he is one of the strongest characters in the game. As I refer to my notes right here, it says that Silver Surfer Breaker is the third strongest character in the game overall by genuine power. Third overall. That means he's only behind Annihilus and the Maestro. And again, he's free to play. He's a plug and play character. We want to make sure we can get him and use him effectively. He's third overall in health, fourth overall in damage, 18th for armor, 13th for focus, 32nd in resist. So that's his only stat that's outside of the top 20. He has 129 speed. Many of his abilities are not tied to the team that he's been assigned to, and that would be the Omen team. The Omen team has been proven to be insanely powerful. They would be the strongest, especially in the Alliance 4 team available in the game. Now, you notice in the comments there, it's up on the screen, we have one of my Alliance mates that's saying, hey, make sure you look out for that video put out by Zastin3. It's out there on YouTube. Make sure you find that video. He has a lot of footage about this team. Desir put out a video talking about Silver Surfer Breaker being the best character in the game. So that information needs to be considered. However, if we are a free to play player, the Omen team, I would say, is a team that you should not invest in at this time. I would think it'd just be very, very dangerous to do so. Why? Because we don't know how the economy is going to work from now on. Things are definitely tighter. We recognize that usually we only get enough resources to build 5 characters. So if we were then to invest in the Omen team, we would effectively be eliminating our ability to build a different team later on. And those other teams that are upcoming are going to be more important. Teams like this, we will call them a luxury team. They're usually going to be made for the spender variety. So again, as free to play players, it is something that we need to keep in mind. There may be characters, there may be teams that are more suited for those who are spending on the game. And if we're not spending, it might not be for us. The Omen team, excellent, very strong, but as a free to play player, I say do not build this team at this time. Do not invest. If you have it sitting as it is right now, maybe you can do something with it as it is, but I would not invest more resources in it. In fact, the team that should be the most important is the champion team. This team lays the groundwork, lays the foundation for everything going forward in the age of fear. If we do not yet have the champion team, then this is what we need to be focused on. We need to figure out a way to build these characters effectively so that we can get our desired outcome. Why do we say that this is important? One, they are a raid team. Raid teams are the most important teams in the game. They're the ones who help us to generate resources. Raid teams are always that second tier in competitive game modes. For example, if we're playing in Alliance War teams are the strongest. The next batch of teams you're going to be using are going to be raid teams. Newer raid teams have the ability to beat older war teams from time to time. The other thing we want to keep in mind is this team is being used to generate other resources. So again, we're playing for free. We're playing free to play. We want to make sure that we're capitalizing on our ability to generate as many resources as possible for free. So obviously we're going to be using them in raids, but we need to keep in mind there's always that raid war zone milestone that's going on in the background. That raid war zone milestone gives you extra points for using the champion characters, obviously in raids. So anywhere where you're available to do that, we should. So obviously if it's called out as champion, we're going to use it there. Many of these characters are simply heroes. They're bio characters. There's some city characters here. So if you can work them in to another area to get points for that reasonably, you should. Don't stretch your roster in order to do it. We're just saying if that opportunity is available to you, you should do that. So again, name nodes that are unnamed. If you can use anybody, use the champions. Use that last boss to repeatedly attack it and quit, attack it and quit, attack it and quit, and just rack up as many champion points as you can. Make sure that you actually finish the raid at some point. But if you have extra energy and you're at that boss, just try to rack up a few extra champion points, talk with your alliance, and in that way, you can get more and more of those rewards quickly. You can get them faster. And again, this is what we need to improve our roster. The champions are important for another specific reason. We need them for the Eclipse Found and the Eclipse Lost events. We need to be able to do that to unlock the character Eclipse. She is a special Marvel Strike Force original character. She's not made available any other way. We have to use these events to do that. Our choices are the Winter Guard, which is a war team, and the Champions, which is this raid team. We should indeed choose the Champions, especially if we're newer. That's the foundation we want to get into. That will allow us to unlock Eclipse, and then we will need to build the second most important team in the game right now. That is the Daring Warriors. So there's always discussion over what teams and characters are good. Again, we're playing free to play here, so it's not necessarily a discussion of what teams are good or better. It's what teams are going to help us to generate the most resources. So we need the Champions as a raid team. They're being focused right now in the milestones. We also need the Daring Warriors because they're being the foundation that the game right now is focusing on. That's going to allow us to unlock our Silver Surfer Breaker. They're going to determine how strong of a Breaker character we can get. They're also being used in the Storm Tower. So whether or not people say that this team is the best team or not, they say the team is good, they say the team is bad, that's not the concern. As free-to-play players, we're trying to generate more resources. That's going to help us generate more power in our account. The Daring Warriors right now are being featured heavily in the game. They are a gateway to getting those stronger characters. One of those stronger characters that we may have forgotten about is the Maestro. The Daring Warriors, we're told, are going to play a role in unlocking this character. So he's a Battle World character, and it looks like they will have special rules tailored to them, that is the Daring Warriors, to help us get more Maestro shards. Obviously, as other teams come out, we'll be using them as well. But right now, that's the information that we have. Maestro is exceptionally powerful. He will be the second strongest character in the game at present. It's going to be a while before we get him, but we want to put ourselves in position now to succeed. And that's what makes the Daring Warriors rise in stock as far as I'm concerned. The next team coming out free to play should be the Shadow Conclave. Now, just a note, something to think about for the time being. We know that we have those orbs coming out since Johnny was the first to finish Dark Dimension 9. And those orbs are going to allow us to spend 50 shards on either the High Evolutionary or the Executioner. It looks like we're going to get 2 of those orbs, so we could go 50-50, or we could go 100 for a single character. Either way, in some way, we should be able to unlock both of those characters. And when we do, we will have 4 characters available, meaning the team can be active, right? Most teams right now, you need a person and 3 allies. That's a total of 4. So that will be the case here with the Shadow Conclave. We will have 4 allies active that way, or excuse me, 4 members active. So that means the team can start to be used. I'm going to put this team kind of on a neutral plane for the time being. Why? Well, they will help us with the Scourge. They will help us with the Breaker Scourge. However, they are an Alliance War team. That would mean to really get the most out of them, we need to turn the war tags on, and that could, in some way, shape, or form, actually initially cause us to do worse. Why is that? As we go to the Breaker event, we would keep in mind that if we turn the war tags on, then there are characters and teams that perhaps before, although they had synergistic effect, they worked with each other. Now they will have the also synergistic abilities to work within the game mode that they were designed for. That will increase their ability to do things, that will increase their difficulty inherently just by turning those war tags on. So we think, for example, here about mission number 4. What do we see? We have the Absolute A-Force, and there are 5 members there, including Moon Girl. All of a sudden, those abilities are going to kick in, and they might prove to be a little bit more resilient than it was in the past. Okay, so this is not a Shadow Conclave node, but just because we activated the war traits to get the benefits from the Shadow Conclave, we now have to deal with this later on in the run. There is no Alliance War X-Men team. There are mutants that we can use in Alliance War, but there is no X-Men team that is made for Alliance War. That's going to make this node a little bit more challenging. Not saying that you can't overpower it, not saying that you can't use a good Crucible team, because both tags will be in operation. It's not one or the other. So it will now be their strong abilities there in war versus perhaps your strong Crucible team that would fit this X-Men category. Not saying it can't be overpowered. You just need to keep in mind that this is going to be happening. The same is true here for mission number 7. We have arena teams, which are primarily active. Again, they're just strong. There's not necessarily war synergy there. It's just something you have to keep in mind that the teams are going to be strong anyway. War synergy will take effect there at that last wave as we have the Secret Warriors and a Quasar. That's going to be difficult. Again, we have a 5 non-legendary mutant team or best buddies. There really is no, again, there's not many Alliance War teams that are mutant teams. The Mercs for money fit that bill. They do have some best buddies on there in terms of Daken and Deadpool, but since it's non-legendary, we can't use Old Man Logan. Just something to think about. We're going to need to strategize. We turn those war tags on. It might make the run more difficult than we were thinking about in the past. Mission 8, we have some members of the Brimstone team. No Damon. That's going to be positive for us, but Brimstone is an Alliance War team, even though they don't have their heavy hitter. Something else we do also want to keep in mind is you now have the Horseman team and Red Hulk down there at the bottom. He is made as an Alliance War character. For those of us who may not remember, if we weren't playing when the Age of Apocalypse was in effect, he will have enhanced abilities. He will ramp up a lot faster since he's inside of Alliance War with the war tags on, especially with Apocalypse. Just something to keep in mind. Again, there is no Alliance War X-Men team. We're going to have to use a strong X-Men based Crucible team, and we might, this is going to play a little bit different. It might affect our run. Mission 9 is going to be very, very interesting. We see later on the wave, we're going to have arena characters there, the Annihilators. They can be difficult. They can be interesting to deal with. We should have our speed ramped up by that time. However, if we enable the war tags early, what we're going to also be facing is the absolute A-Force. So once again, they're going to have 3 members. So they're not going to have complete team synergy, but they will have their war traits then activated. That might make it much more difficult than it was before to get through with the symbiotes that we have. That's why I'm theorizing that the new symbiote team, the Symbiote 6, when they hit, they will be an Alliance War team. Again, I'm just guessing. I don't know, but that would make sense given that this node is going to be difficult. The symbiotes that we have are very old. So we would need some type of more stopping power in order to get through. And if we have war tags enabled because we're using our Shadow Conclave, we need something to be able to counteract that. The Shadow Conclave should be right around the corner. We should start being able to get them free to play in a not too distant future. I know some people have been antsy on the free to play side, right? There doesn't seem like there's anything to do. So that's why people are tempted to build Omen. Again, I would just hold off, just wait a little bit longer. We only have so much resources. And once this starts, right, once this kicks in for us, the free to play unlocks, once they start coming in, then that's going to be a steady process from now on. Then we'll also have a team to be working on every month. So we don't want to interfere with what we're supposed to be building right now. And again, the Shadow Conclave, we're just going to make them neutral at the moment because they're not going, they might help us when getting Silver Surfer Breaker, but there will be a penalty in that the war tags, for them to get the best out of what we're doing, we need to enable the war text. And with the war tags active, it might make it more difficult for us to get through the run that we already did. So that would mean for me, depending on how things shook out, right? If I had it my way, then I would actually put the Exalted X-Men as a higher priority than the Shadow Conclave. Now, this is without knowing what's going on in the future. We don't know if there'll be any other measures taken that will be able to take advantage of the Shadow Conclave even more when they hit. But right now, just given the way things work, another Crucible team, another mutant team, another X-Men team here with the Exalted X-Men would help us much more when it comes to the Breaker Scourge. We'll have to see what Angel, how we're able to get a hold of him, right? We saw the information in the blog the other day about this new battle pass. It just depends on how long does it take us to actually unlock the character. If we're able to unlock him relatively quickly, then I personally might go and invest in this team first, especially on my endgame account, because I already have 4 of the pieces. Or excuse me, I already have 3 of the pieces ready. Same deal with Angel put in play. We'll have 4 characters. That means the synergy kicks in and they should work. We can find a replacement somewhere else for Morph. Now, Morph Keep in mind, it still says here that he is a 100 shard unlock. And unless that changes, that might indicate that he's going to be more difficult to come by. Just something to keep in mind. The last character that looks to be coming out during our release cycle is the Quicksilver Symbiote. He's going to be a member of the Symbiote 6 team as far as we know. Now, once again, this might be one of those areas where there is a free-to-play method to do this and a spender method. There will be 6 characters, so to speak, at least if that's what's happening with the name, right? We don't know. We're not sure how that's going to work. Does that mean there will be 3 new characters and then 3 reworks chosen, or some other mix and match of that? Either way, it's possible that we do not have enough resources to build all of those characters. This is not something new. This has happened in the past with certain reworks, especially with the Sinister 6. When they were given multiple reworks, we didn't have enough to build all of them. You kind of had to choose which individuals to invest in. So as we get closer to that time, we're going to want to pay attention to what the characters do, what game modes they're going to affect, how they work, and then we'll need to decide how to build the team. In addition, if my theory is correct and it is an Alliance War team, that now will raise what we said earlier about the Shadow Conclave. That will now increase their stock because we can turn those tags on and we will have what's necessary to punch through and get the highest possible score that we can for our Silver Surfer Breaker. At the same time, we want to keep in mind what's going on in the tower. We won't know over the coming weeks. We'll have to see, but there could be some effect there. So those are my thoughts as new characters are introduced into the game, as new events show up. That might change our build plan. I really would like to hear from you. What do you think about this information? Again, this is the way I'm viewing things. I'm trying to build the most effective roster. That might not be the same viewpoint that someone else has. I'm open to discussion on that 100%, but I'm trying to build the most effective roster from the free to play standpoint. So let me know how you feel about this information. And hey, if you haven't seen this video right here or this other video right here, please check them out. They're legit.